Welcome to the Forking Audacity, a weekly show where we talk about the forking audacity of the things that go on in our work lives. And sometimes I talk about the things that go on that happen to us in our work lives. And sometimes I talk about the forking audacity of us as humans and the things that we do to ourselves because of things that have happened in our work lives. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Lauren Lefkowitz. I am an executive coach and fractional HR officer. And I am the CEO of Fine is a Trap Coaching. We, in our lives, we do a lot of things where we say it's fine, even though we don't mean it's fine. We say it's fine that I'm working so many hours. This is what's expected of me at this level. We say it's fine that I'm not being paid enough. The promotion is coming. They've assured me. Or it's fine that I fell out of love with my career. This is what I chose. This is where I am. This is how things are. And friends, nothing's fine. We are humans with big feelings, and we have much stronger feelings than fine. So if you haven't been here before, welcome. I love to be in a conversation. So if you are here, come say hi in the comments. I'd love to include you in the conversation, answer your questions, and, be in a two-way conversation or a 10-way conversation. And if it's one way, well, here you are. Listen up. So this week on the Forking Audacity, I am going to be talking about the audacity of how you undervalue yourself. And I mean this in a couple of ways. I mean this financially, and that's probably the most tangible way that we see it show up. And I also mean it in just how we undervalue ourselves in the way that we present ourselves, in the way that we speak about ourselves, in the way that we function as humans in the workplace, the way that we talk down to ourselves. And it results really in us being in this position where we don't see the us that we are. And you've probably experienced this with other people. You may not see it quite as much in yourself, but if you're talking to a friend who is talking about work being hard, or their boss being toxic, or their team expecting too much of them, or them overworking, or them being underpaid, you start to feel feelings in your body. And that could be a feeling of like, hey, no fair to you. I want to stand up and defend you. Or, gosh, why don't you see how amazing you are? And then we look at ourselves and we provide ourselves with these grand levels of criticism, of critique, of telling ourselves that we are valued less, that we have less value, that we offer less value, and therefore we have to tolerate how things are. So I'm going to give you an example that comes up pretty frequently with my clients, and I'm going to use the financial example because it's what all of the other examples end up leading us to in a capitalist environment, or what used to be a capitalist environment. I don't know where we are now. But here's what we do. We get offered a salary. We accept that salary. And then we grow in our career and we take a promotion within our company. Maybe we get a little bump in raise in salary. Maybe we leave a company and we get a bigger bump for leaving a company. At some point, we hit a level of income that feels like this is the most I'm worth. For some people, that is $80,000. For some people, that's $150,000. For some people, that is millions and millions and millions of dollars, and everything in between. The monetary value that you put on what your internal systems tell you are worth is different for everybody. And also, when you get close to that set point, when you get around that point, if you surpass that point, there's a little voice in your head that tells you you got lucky. So all of a sudden you've gone from somebody who provides value and gets praise to somebody who should feel lucky they get a job, or they got a job, or should feel lucky they're still employed, or should feel lucky that they're trusted with big projects. And speaking of the shoulds, in 2 weeks, on Tuesday, April 22nd at 7:30 p.m. after my live, I'm going to be doing a free workshop about the shoulds, and we're going to go in real deep about the shoulds and have some cool group discussion. It's a 45-minute workshop and 7:30 p.m. Eastern on April 22nd. So if you want to register for that, there are a couple of posts in my profile, and I will do my best to remember after this live to link the workshop registration in this live so that you can see it. But anyway, back to a little touch on the shoulds. And we start to tell ourselves that we're lucky because we have what we have, right? And we have like a little bit of this, like, oh, you get what you get and you don't get upset. I'm in the middle of my career. I've reached whatever height I'm going to reach. This is what I have. Sometimes the thing that gets added to that, there are a couple of things that get added to that. One is if you're in a toxic workplace and you get told that you're lucky you have this job, and you get told that you're lucky you're trusted with this stuff, and you get told we're paying you a lot of money to do this, all of a sudden you start to feel like your value is less than what you're being paid. And you start to talk down to yourself and about yourself and the work that you're doing. And this shows up in the form of like, oh yeah, I helped manage that project, when really that project would not have happened without you. Or like, yeah, I manage a team of 12 people, but they're really pretty self-sufficient. Well, they wouldn't be if they didn't have your support. But we start to discount ourselves and our value. This also happens in layoff situations or job elimination situations. And it happens, I see it a lot with clients who have been making, say, $200,000, and then they get laid off and they get another job. And because jobs feel scarce, and because they're undervaluing themselves and writing their resumes and talking about themselves in ways that they're not really, they really haven't figured out how to talk about themselves in an empowered way, then they're getting jobs that are, from 200,000 to 180 to 160 to, I've had clients who have gone from as high as in the 300,000 and 400,000s down to 100,000. There is nothing wrong with a $100,000 job. But if you've been earning 300,000 and 400,000, there's a reason that you got that job, and it is not luck. And you can and should be able to have that job again. But when you get laid off and you take a lower salary and you take a lower salary and you take a lower salary, it's a hit on your ego. It's a hit on your self-worth. And so you then create the audacity of, instead of standing for yourself and saying, this is who I am, this is what I earn, this is what my value is to a company, we make ourselves a little bit smaller and a little bit smaller and a little bit smaller. And we settle. And I am not saying you should never settle. And I know, go ahead and faint, get the fainting couch, clutch your pearls, hand on your head, everybody pass out while I say you're allowed to settle. You're allowed to get to fine when you're not fine. The first step in getting beyond fine is being fine. It's staying in fine and justifying that things are fine when they aren't. That's like the not for me, not for you kind of thing. So back to your value. When you've been beaten down, especially if you've been let go, whether it's laid off, whether it's fired, whether it's like mutual agreement that this thing isn't working out, your ego gets hit, and you don't want to be overinflated. So instead you underinflate who you are and what your value is and what you can offer to a company. And it doesn't only show in your salary. That's the most tangible place to see it. but it also shows in how you stand for yourself, how you stand for your teams, how you lead, how you contribute. And so a really good exercise to do is to figure out what your value is to a company. And before you even do that, you have to really know what you do for a living, which sounds like ridiculous, right? Like, of course you know what you do for a living, you do it. But when you're put on the spot for a resume, in an interview, to ask for a raise, to do your self-evaluation on your own performance review, to have a meeting with your boss or your team where you talk about your own performance, there is a tendency to not want to be braggy. And so instead of trying to get to some level of objectivity, we like lower our own belief in ourselves, and we lower our own ability to talk about ourselves in an empowered way. So tonight's going to be a little bit of a short live because I'm getting over a cold and I don't feel great. But I did want to come on because I'm excited about this topic. So here is an assignment for you. Go to my my profile and click on my link to my links, which is like right below my name, and download the free Fine as a Trap checklist. What this will do for you, this is like a quick exercise in outlining everything you do for a living. Then it gives you an opportunity to evaluate how much you value those things. And when you find the things that you value the most in the work that you do, that's where you start building from. So this Fine as a Trap checklist will help you see, crack in my voice, very Peter Brady from the Brady Bunch in the voice changing episode, if you're a Brady Bunch fan. But it will allow you, hey, Mary Jo, coming in just as I'm talking about the Brady Bunch. Thanks for being here. So what the Fine as a Trap checklist will do, and I'll try to remember also to link this in the comments. And when I say I'm linking it in the comments, if you're watching this on any other platform, I link it in the comments on LinkedIn. That's where I'm the most active. That's where you'll see me the most. And that's where I remember to link things. So if you're watching me on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, come over to my profile on LinkedIn to find these things. But the Fine as a Trap checklist will allow you to do a quick survey of what you do, evaluate how you value those things. And that's the great start, is to even figure out like what you do for a living before you build the resume, before you do your self-evaluation on your performance review, before anything. You have to know what you do before you can value it. Then you get to add the adjectives like lead or create or coordinate or help. And you get to be realistic about that stuff because you have first outlined all the things you do. So I'm going to leave you with that tonight. I'm going to try to remember as soon as I get off of this live to link the workshop that's coming up on April 22nd about the shoulds we tell ourselves, and also the Fine as a Trap checklist. If you can't find either one of these and you're trying to, send me a DM on LinkedIn or on Instagram or on Facebook Messenger, and I will send them to you directly. Thank you so much for being here. I will be back next Tuesday. I took off last Tuesday at the beginning of this cold, but I will be back next Tuesday. If you've got a topic you want me to be talking about that is audacious in our career worlds, please let me know. Thank you so much for being here and have a great night.